name's Barb Hansen, and this is training video 6 for His Seattle. And training video 6 will have several short segments. And this segment is on how to make presentations interactive at the grammar stage. So first of all, I want you to think about, before you start teaching, that you really have to define what you want your students to remember. You should have 3 or 4 points. If you have more than that, it's way too much. You're just going to vomit information all over them. And our temptation is we've studied so hard that we want to get them to get everything, and you have to resist that temptation. You have to define what you want them to remember. And after you've done that, I really recommend that you watch some really good storytellers or people who are excellent at public speaking, because the principles that they use in their public speaking or their storytelling are the same principles you use in excellent teaching. And excellent teaching is very engaging, and one of the things that storytellers use that you will notice is suspense. So anytime that you can use suspense to hook your students into what you're trying to teach them, you will have them. So here are some things that can build suspense and excitement when you're doing an interactive teaching. First of all, use props. You can use these props by pulling them out of a bag, or you could give a prop to each student. I know one teacher who taped the prop to the bottom of a chair or a picture to the bottom of the chair and had them, the chairs numbered, and have the students pull them out at a certain time. You could have pull students in to be a prop or to be a part of the story. You could do a scavenger hunt, have envelopes taped to the wall with numbers and things inside that you want to bring out and tell them about. I've done that before, and students were really excited about that. You could do a journey around the building and have a station set up, and have it be a certain environment you want, or a certain thing you want to remember, a boat or whatever is a part of your story. So you travel around. You could do skits using students, or you can do skits using moms, or you can come as a first person in history or science, be that person of history or science, and tell them about what you want them to remember or know about yourself or something you did. Science demonstrations. I've seen the simplest science demonstrations done by mothers or fathers that are so exciting that students beg for them to be done again. So don't underestimate science experiments or science experiments. So those are some ways to make presentations interactive. And now I'm going to tell you about what I did 4 years ago when I taught ancient history. I taught young grammar students, and here are some fun activities. First, I told the students we're going on an expedition, and I told them to bring hats and binoculars and things like that, and backpacks. And we went on a journey to Mesoamerica. I had got a big, huge refrigerator, cardboard box, and I had taped inside the box as the same number of students I had, and hung a little sheet or something dark over the front of the box. And so we first went through the building, went up mountains and over rivers and through tall grass, and we got to our cave, and then each of them were archaeologists, and I gave them a little flashlight, and they had to go in and find one picture and bring it out, and then I would talk about it. Out of those pictures, I picked probably 3 that were my main points and really emphasized those after I had talked about all the pictures. That was very engaging. The students loved it. Another thing that I did was when we studied Alexander the Great, I had them make horses, and I got the pattern out of Story of the World. They colored, I had copied them, and so the horse had 2 sides, and they colored it, and then I got a long stick probably from the hardware store, stapled it all together, and I had a stick horse, and we went on a journey, and I had picked certain places in the building to stop and had them all kind of set up. And I talked about different parts of Alexander's life. We went about 3 or 4 places. Another thing I did was I bought a sheet from Goodwill, made it into a map of the Mediterranean, and we studied ancient trade through a game. There becomes, through interactive presentations and hands-on, there's a lot of overlap, and that's just great. And this was one of those activities, there was a lot of overlap, because first we made the boat, another pattern out of Story of the World, and I had them glued on a piece of wood, and we had dice, and there was little markers, and it was like just played like a regular game. But in the middle of this playing that game, I was talking about how they did trade during that period of history. I also found in some like model book a little carpet. It was probably about the pattern was about this big, but I made it this big, and the students colored it over a series of weeks. We worked on it a little bit for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I covered it with contact paper, and then the students put fringe on it, and it became a magic carpet. I have lots and lots of white tulle, and I threw it all over the room, and that became us going on a journey. And then we went out of the room and again went around and talked about different things. Another thing that I did was in that unit is I dressed up like Miss Lita. The students actually called me Miss Lita each week. I wore a dark wig, I wore a white tunic with a sash, and I became a Greek woman. And my students, because I had a really small class and do not feel obligated at all to do this, but because I had such a small class and it was just very easy to do, out of sheets I made little tunics for each of my students in 2 different colors, white and blue, because when we played games I had the white team and the blue team, and the students really loved that. We had a lot of fun. After lunch I always had a story over in a corner on a blanket, and this is something you could easily do even if you're teaching science. Because I was teaching ancient history, we did a Greek myth, and this is where I also bring in our Christian worldview, because I would compare and contrast the Greek myth to what we believed as Christians. So you can see that there are endless possibilities for interactive teaching. It makes students very engaged, very exciting for them, and they never forget it, and you won't either. So thank you very much.